Let's get real for a second. Every struggle you're facing, every bit of frustration, fear, or regret often comes down to one simple, hard truth. You're living your life for everyone except yourself. Think about it. How much of your energy goes into trying to make other people happy, to fit in, to be liked? Somewhere along the way, you started trading pieces of yourself for approval, and maybe you didn't even realize it. But here's the thing, your time is limited. You don't get a do-over. Like Steve Jobs said, don't waste it living someone else's life. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you made a decision just for you, without worrying what anyone else would think? When was the last time you felt free enough to live boldly, without second-guessing? This video isn't it's here to shake things up, to challenge you, to help you take your life back. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with, it's this: you don't owe the world anything, but you do owe yourself everything. Stick around, because there's a bonus at the end that might be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. Lesson 1. Why living for others will always let you down. Imagine a tree that sways with every gust of wind. It never grows deep roots, never finds its strength. Now ask yourself, how often are you that tree, constantly bending to meet others' expectations? There's a quote that says, "The greatest suffering is forgetting who you are." And it's true. You weren't born to be a mirror of someone else's dreams or fears. You were born to be you. But over time, without even realizing it, you may have started chasing applause you never asked for, approval you never needed. Here's the hard truth. When you live for other people, your happiness becomes fragile. One compliment lifts you up. One judgment tears you down. That kind of life, it's like trying to build a home on shifting sand. We see this everywhere. Social media thrives on likes and validation. Society tells you what success should look like. Friends, family, co-workers, they all have opinions about how your life should go. But here's the thing. None of them live in your skin. None of them walk in your shoes. So if you're always looking to others to tell you who you are, you slowly start losing touch with your own voice. Your dreams get quieter. Your confidence fades. And before you know it, you're living a life that doesn't even feel like yours. But it doesn't have to be that way. Now imagine this instead. You're like a tree with deep, steady roots. The storm comes, but you're unshaken. Why? Because you know who you are. You're grounded in your truth. That kind of strength comes from tuning in, not out. From listening to your voice over the noise of the world. That's what mindfulness is about. It's not just meditation or quiet time. It's about being fully aware of your own needs, emotions, and beliefs, without letting others drown them out. It's choosing yourself every single day. To live for yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It means being honest. It means asking, what do I actually want today? It means learning to say no when you don't mean yes. It means trusting your inner compass even when people don't get it. Start small. Each morning, check in with yourself. What do I need today for me? Each night, ask, did I show up as my true self today? These little choices, they build powerful roots. Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. When you stop tying your peace to others' opinions, something amazing happens. You start feeling calm, steady, confident. You don't have to everyone to be worthy. You don't have to chase approval to feel whole. You're already enough, right here, right now. So stand strong, stay grounded, build a mindset that's clear, calm, and rooted in your truth. And watch how the world starts adjusting to you, not the other way around. Lesson 2. When trying to please others becomes self-betrayal. Here's a thought. You can't drink poison just to quench someone else's thirst. And yet, many of us do that every day, bit by bit. We say yes when we mean no. We smile when we're hurting. We agree with things that don't reflect who we really are. It may seem small in the moment, but each time you silence your truth to win someone's approval, you're slowly turning your back on your own soul. There's an old truth worth remembering. Every time you twist yourself to fit someone else's mold, you're stepping further away from who you truly are. You weren't made to live as someone else's version of enough. You were made to live as you, fully and unapologetically. When you chase praise or cling to acceptance, you're handing over your identity. You're putting on masks just to be liked. And after a while, you forget what your real face even looks like. Let me ask you this. Where in your life are you drinking that poison just to be accepted? Where are you shrinking, hiding, or pretending just to keep the peace? This habit starts early. We're taught that being loved means being agreeable, that being accepted means keeping things easy for others, even if it's hard on ourselves. At work, in families, in friendships, we feel the pressure to please, to avoid conflict, to stay quiet. But here's the cost. Over time, you lose touch with yourself. Your dreams fade, your voice dims, and that vibrant, clear version of who you are, like a mountain spring, gets clouded. You can't see your reflection anymore. The good news, you can clear those waters. Mindfulness teaches us to honor our experience, to listen inward without guilt, without waiting for permission. That quiet inner voice, it's there. It's patient, and it's full of truth. Sure, pleasing others might feel kind. But real compassion, it starts with self-respect. You can't pour into others if you're always running on empty. You can't give love from a place of self-abandonment. So here's the question. Who might you become if you stopped betraying your own needs? What goals might you chase? What peace might finally be possible? You don't need to flip your life upside down overnight. Start small. When someone asks for your time, pause and ask yourself, do I really want to do this, or am I afraid to say no? When you're faced with a decision, check in. What feels true to me? Not just easy or expected. And begin to set boundaries. Not to push people away, but to protect what's sacred in you. Like a garden, your spirit needs care, not constant depletion. The Buddha said you yourself, as much as anybody in the universe, deserve your love and affection. That's not just a quote, it's a call to action. You weren't put here to be a background character in your own story. You weren't meant to burn out just to keep others warm. So take your power back. Build a strong, calm and clear mind. When you stop living for approval and start living from within, that's when true freedom begins. Lesson 3. Let people dislike you and still rise. Here's something worth remembering. The sun never apologizes for shining too brightly. It just rises, confidently, effortlessly, knowing that some will bask in its warmth while others may shy away. And guess what? You're no different. True freedom begins when you accept that not everyone will like you, and that's perfectly okay. But too often, we dim our light. We shrink ourselves, tone things down, or stay quiet. Not because it feels right, but because we're afraid of being disliked. We treat approval like oxygen, when really, it's just a craving we've been taught to chase. Think about it. Why does the fear of being misunderstood or judged weigh more heavily than the cost of losing yourself? Buddhist wisdom reminds us, attachment to reputation is a subtle form of suffering. When you constantly try to be liked, you drift further from who you truly are. You wear a version of yourself that was designed for someone else's comfort, not your own truth. And in a world where social media, jobs, and even friendships can feel like performance stages, it's tempting to keep acting, to keep fitting in. But here's the truth. You were never meant to fit into every hand that reaches for you. You were meant to become so rooted in who you are that no amount of criticism can shake you. Picture this. What if the sun hesitated every morning, unsure if the world would welcome its light? What if it stayed hidden just to avoid being too much? The world would be dimmer, and every time you hold back who you are just to be accepted, your world dims too. So what would happen if you stopped explaining yourself? If you stopped needing approval to chase your dreams? What would open up if you trusted your light even when others don't? The people meant for your journey will stay. The ones who can't handle your shine, they were never your people to begin with. Letting others dislike you isn't rude. It's respecting yourself. It's saying, this is who I am. I don't need to be edited for someone else's comfort. Start small. Next time you feel the need to defend a decision or explain your truth, pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, I'm not here to be understood by everyone. I'm here to understand and honor myself. If someone judges you, let it go. Their opinion. That's their weight to carry, not yours. You don't need to wear armor to walk through life. Trusting yourself silently is power enough. The Buddha said, do not look for a sanctuary in anyone except yourself. That's where real peace is found, not in convincing others, but in being completely aligned with your own truth. So rise, like the sun, shine without apology. You don't need permission to be who you are. And always remember, those who are truly meant for your light will never ask you to dim it. Build that strong, steady mind rooted in calm, kind thoughts, and you'll finally begin living the free, bold life you were always meant to lead. Picture a mountain. It doesn't move when the wind howls or when the sun shines. It doesn't rise higher when praised or shrink when criticized. It simply is, strong, still, grounded. You have that same power within you. Real self-respect begins when other people's opinions stop controlling your emotions. But be honest. How many times have you traded your peace just to feel accepted? How many dreams have you paused? How many truths have you silenced just to avoid being judged? Ask yourself, whose approval are you still waiting for? And why do they get to decide your worth? Here's the truth. The more you depend on others to feel worthy, the more fragile your confidence becomes. It's like chasing shadows, always reaching, never resting. Buddhism teaches that clinging to external validation is just another form of suffering. When you let other people's praise define your value, you're handing them the remote control to your happiness. But there's another way. Mindfulness shows us how to reclaim that power, how to build self-worth that doesn't rise and fall with someone else's opinion. Instead of chasing applause, you start listening to your own heart. And when that happens, something shifts. Imagine this: one full day where you don't measure your value by how many people like your post, compliment your work, or agree with your decisions. Imagine waking up already feeling enough before anyone else even says a word. What would you do differently if you didn't need anyone's permission to believe in yourself? What passions would you chase? What boundaries would you finally enforce? When your self-worth comes from within, you become unstoppable. Not because you shout the loudest, but because you don't shake when the world pushes back. Compliments won't make you arrogant. Criticism won't break you. You'll move with purpose, not performance. That's what real freedom looks like, not needing a spotlight to shine. So how do you start? It's in the little moments. Before you post something, ask, am I doing this because it feels right to me, or am I hoping someone else will validate it? Before you seek advice, pause and check in. Do I already know what I want? The Buddha said, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. You were never meant to live for likes. You were born to live in truth. You were always enough before the praise, before the approval, before the world ever noticed. So stand tall, like the mountain. Let your spirit be rooted in calm, positive thoughts. Stop shrinking to fit someone else's frame of worth. Start rising in your own. You don't need 1,000 hands clapping to be worthy. All you need is to remember who you are. Lesson 5. Why living for yourself isn't selfish. Let's dive into something important. Why living for yourself isn't selfish. Think about it. You can't pour from an empty cup. Yet, how often do you find yourself giving pieces of your energy, your time and your heart when you've barely got anything left to give? We're conditioned to believe that putting ourselves first is selfish, but the truth is much deeper, and it's rooted in ancient wisdom. Caring for yourself isn't selfish. It's the highest form of service you can offer the world. When you're full, you give freely, without resentment or exhaustion. But when you're running on empty, even your kindness feels strained, and eventually, you have nothing left to give. So ask yourself, are you nourishing yourself as much as you nourish others? Buddhism teaches that true compassion starts with you. You cannot pour love into others if you're empty inside. Picture trying to light 1,000 lamps with a candle that's barely glowing. What you offer others is always a reflection of the state of your own heart. If you're depleted, you pass on emptiness. But if you're whole, you share light. Living for yourself isn't about being selfish or self-centered. It's about creating a foundation within yourself that is so strong and steady that the love, wisdom and compassion you offer others comes effortlessly and freely, without expecting anything in return. In today's world, self-sacrifice is often celebrated. We're told to be everything for everyone, to give until there's nothing left. But here's the deeper truth. The greatest service you can give the world is to first become a sanctuary for yourself. Only when you are full can you truly pour into others. Imagine the difference it would make in your life if you treated yourself as sacred. What dreams would you finally pursue? What boundaries would you set without guilt? What if you started protecting your peace, your energy and your truth, not out of selfishness, but out of deep respect for the life you've been given? When you honor your own needs, you teach others to do the same. You set an example of self-love and self-respect. You give them permission to stop sacrificing themselves too. And this is where the real ripple of compassion begins. When you take care of yourself first, you don't give from obligation. You give from a place of genuine presence. You offer your time, your energy, your love, because you want to, not because you feel you should. Start today by making a promise to yourself. Take a moment to listen inward before rushing outward. Offer yourself the patience and care you so willingly offer to others. Tend to your inner peace before you try to heal or help someone else. Buddhism teaches us to come home to ourselves first, to breathe, to observe, to heal. And from this rooted place, true giving becomes natural, effortless, and free. The Buddha said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Remember this, you were never meant to burn out for others, you were meant to shine brightly for yourself, and in doing so, light the way for everyone around you. So build a strong, disciplined mind, rooted in calm and positive thoughts. Let your own fullness become the greatest gift you can give to the world. Lesson 6. What happens when you focus on your own standards? Let's talk about what happens when you start focusing on your own standards. Think about an artist who creates just to get applause. Somewhere along the way, they forget what real beauty is. Imagine pouring your heart and soul into a piece of art, only to abandon your vision the moment the crowd goes silent. That's what happens when we live by external standards, always creating, achieving, and existing for the approval of others. Buddhism gives us a powerful lesson here. Live by your own standards, not by others' expectations. True peace comes the moment you shift your idea of success from how others see you to how you feel about yourself. Pause for a moment and think, whose standards are you living by right now? In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in what others expect from you. Social media, societal norms, family pressures, they all push us to follow a set path, to meet milestones that may not even be ours. But Buddhist philosophy teaches us that chasing someone else's idea of success is like running after the horizon. You'll never reach it, and worse, you'll wear yourself out trying. Instead, it invites us to practice a deep form of mindfulness. Set your own rules. Respect your own path. Release the urge to impress others. Imagine living a life where success isn't measured by likes or promotions, but by the quiet pride you feel when you close your eyes at night. Picture setting goals that truly connect with your soul, not just what is popular right now. Think about this for a moment. What if your only competition was who you were yesterday? When you stop measuring your life by someone else's clock, you stop feeling rushed. You begin to move at your own speed, guided by inner wisdom that no one can control or destroy. This shift takes time, but it is worth every moment. It is a choice you make again and again. Instead of asking yourself, what will they think? Ask, what feels right to me? Buddhism teaches that real wisdom is not found in the noise of the world, but in the quiet truth of your own heart. When you live by your values, life itself becomes a form of meditation. Every choice, every action becomes a brushstroke in the artwork of your life. So start by setting inner goals. Instead of saying, I must earn their approval, say, I will respect my creativity today. Instead of, I must appear successful, say, I will stay honest to my values today. Inner goals give you strength. They remind you that you are the creator, not the observer. You are no longer trapped in the race of comparison. Instead, you move forward calmly, joyfully and peacefully toward a life that truly feels like yours. The Buddha said, your task is to discover your world and then, with all your heart, give yourself to it. Your life is not a show for others. It is a sacred creation that only you can shape. So hold this close to your heart. When you stop creating for the crowd and start creating for your soul, that is when true beauty returns. Build a strong and disciplined mind, grounded in calm and positive thoughts. Live guided by the masterpiece within, not by the applause of others. Lesson 7. Why your worth was never meant to be negotiated. A diamond does not debate its value in the market. It shines simply because it exists. Its worth is natural, untouched by the noise of bargaining. Yet many of us live as if our value is something to trade, judging our worth by who accepts us, who praises us, who stays, or who walks away. But Buddhism reveals a deeper truth. Your existence itself proves your worth. You do not need to earn your place in this world. You do not have to bargain for love, respect, or dignity that already belong to you by birth. Pause for a moment and reflect. Where in your life are you still negotiating your worth? In a world focused on success and approval, it is easy to forget. From childhood, we are taught that our value depends on what we achieve, how we look, or how liked we are. So we chase validation, hide parts of ourselves to fit in, and wear masks just to feel accepted. But Buddhism shows another way, a path of unconditional self-acceptance. Just as a mountain does not need to explain its height, or a river its flow, you do not need to justify your existence. You are enough simply by being here. Imagine the freedom you would feel if you stopped giving others the power to decide your worth. If instead of asking, am I good enough for them, you began saying, I am whole as I am. Picture yourself moving through life with the steady strength of the earth, unmoved by opinions, untouched by changing views. Take a moment and ask yourself, What changes when you stop bargaining for your worth, when you stop explaining, apologizing, or giving too much just to be noticed? True love, real connection, and lasting peace do not come from others' approval. They begin when you accept yourself. Buddhism teaches that clinging to external validation only increases suffering. It keeps us locked in a cycle of desire and disappointment. True freedom appears when you realize your worth was never in question. It is timeless, untouched, and complete. Start noticing the moments when you feel the need to bargain with your soul. When do you look for permission to be yourself? In those moments, pause, breathe, and return to your center. Remind yourself, I am already enough, not because of what I do, but because of who I am. This way of thinking does not create pride, it creates honesty. It grounds you in a peace that neither praise nor criticism can disturb. As the Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and care. Your worth is not something to complete or a race to win, it is your birthright. You were never meant to be sold, you were meant to shine. Build a strong and disciplined mind, rooted in calm and positive thoughts, and live each day as proof of your priceless existence. If these insights gave you value, remember to like and share this video. We would love to read your thoughts in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to Buddha's Eternal Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist teachings for a peaceful and empowered life.